without fail. Like it's.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Compose yourself, Pete.
Tremendous.
Welcome back to that comic book review show. This week we're doing James's pick of James Below. I'm right up here, man. James Below. We're doing the Crimson Cage by John Lees and Alex Cormack. Fantastic book. It's to my left. Not Beyonce, but it's Jimmy T.
Oh, Jimmy T.
I like that.
That's in there now.
Yeah,
Sound like a Sopranos character.
Jimmy
Hey,
T.
Forget
Of
about
course,
it.
got-
It's Jimmy T.
Forget about it.
I told you I had a plan.
I like that. I'll take it.
Of course, we've got Triple J Comics. How we doing, Pete?
Not bad, mate. Not bad.
Good. And of course, James at Comic Deal. Before we get started, Pete, could you pitch up that first slide, mate?
Certainly.
I just want to talk about this in a minute. This is The Edge, issue 11. It's just gone on pre-orders. If you don't know who them guys are playing the instruments, that's Spinetix and me on the keyboard. So we're all going to be on the cover of this comic and inside the issue as well.
That's awesome.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
It is in preview, so you can order it from the LCS. If you want any back issues of this, you can either go to Marvin Wynn's website, which the link will be in the description, as well as Forbidden Planet gets it in as well. So
Okay.
you can order back issues on Forbidden Planet.
Are you going to do a signing there?
If you get the comic, I'll sign it.
Yeah, I got a CGC signature.
Yeah.
Do it.
I just want to say as well, Marvin Wynn is a fantastic person and a great writer. I've informally known him for years off an old comic book message board called Digital Webbing, and they have this. They had a message board back in the day, back in the internet days.
Yeah.
And he was on there. I was on there. Lots of talented people are on there actually who came through the ranks. But Marvin's been sort of pushing at getting books out for years and years. So it's good to see that he's getting the success he deserves.
You see, you've picked my nostalgia there, James, because I remember this was probably before you were born, James T, when it was kind of dial-up internet comic boards. But I spent a long time talking to a guy about a new comic was releasing, which was based on his sister who died in an airline accident, and it was Jeff Jones. So he went on to be kind of the architect of the DC universe.
Yeah.
But, funny back. I used to love the old message boards.
Yeah, but I just want to say a big thank you to Sif Lawley who managed to put all this together. So I'll leave Spinetix link in the description as well, and you can go over and check them out because Marvin does appear quite regularly on that channel. So yeah,
fantastic,
said,
JP. Massive congratulations to you.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's all down to Sif. So big thank you to him really for letting me be a part of it. So absolutely over the moon. And on to Crimson Cage. So, written by John Lees and art by Alex Cormack. I'm just going to say the colorist as well, Ashley Cormack. We don't know if this is Alex's wife or sister. We haven't decided yet.
It's his wife.
Let's go wife.
It's his wife.
Oh, there we go.
Sister? No?
Yeah, that was the conversation before you turned up, James.
Now I'm doubting myself. I was quite confident it was his wife because she's also an artist. But now you're making me doubt. But I'm pretty sure I'm 98% confident.
Let's just commit. Let's commit. It's definitely.
We'll commit to that. We'll commit to that.
Yeah,
so, James, if it's your pick, would you like to run us through the synopsis?
Yes, I have prepared a synopsis that I've literally just Googled. So, double, toil and rumble. Brace yourself for no holds barred. See what I did there? Reimagining of William Shakespeare's Macbeth, New Orleans, 1984. Chuck Frenzy is in the main event star of the local Louisiana pro wrestling territory, but yearns for something greater. A fateful encounter with a trio of terrifying beings in the Bayou gives Chuck a glimpse of championship glory beyond his wildest dreams, if he is willing to do something terrible to achieve it.
Brilliant. Absolutely amazing, mate. Quite proud of you. Yeah, like James was saying, this is based on the story of Macbeth. But it's completely different and all. And this is one of the things that I thought about this book. I thought when I first heard about it and people were saying, oh, it's Macbeth retold. I was thinking, are we going to get that ye old English text in it, and it put me off for quite a little bit, to be fair. But I ended up paying out for it and buying the book, and never looked back since. So we'll just go through our overviews, and we'll go to Jimmy T first. Your overview.
So I love Macbeth. Like, it's one of my favorite. I've been to see the play like multiple times. Like, I absolutely adore that story, and but I hate wrestling. So this was like going into this, and like it took me a second to really cop that it was Macbeth. But I think once the kind of three sisters and everything, I was like, okay, cool. But I was on board. I think it's a really amazing choice of setting for this. Like, a lot of the time you see reinterpretations of Macbeth, it's like, oh, it's 1920s Russia or something like that. But I think this is a really clever twist on that. And I think with New Orleans, you have that kind of voodoo element. I think that's what it's kind of tying into. So I really love that. But I think like the story it's a great version of this. I think they change a few things that kind of you don't exactly know what's going to happen in it. And incredible artwork, I think, like really striking. Like, every panel is brilliant. Like, there's none of them out of place. And I thought it was a great read. I couldn't put it down.
Brilliant. Pete.
Everything James just said, really. I think this is a stunning book. It's one of my favourite reads. I'm very much like James. I read Macbeth when I was at school, and I remember the story well. Not a big wrestler. Wrestling does nothing for me, to be honest. But I absolutely love this book, and I love the detail in it. I know because I've interviewed both Alex and John about this book, and John was very, very keen on making sure that the wrestling moves were correct and looked realistic. And James Comicbook will probably comment on that, but he took a lot of time really kind of spelling it out to Alex on how the different moves worked and stuff. Love the story. Think it's beautifully written. The artwork is phenomenal, and if you like gore, which I do, there are some absolute stomach churning pages in this. It's a cracking book for me, and it also got us slightly interested enough in wrestling to then pick up another wrestling book, which was Do a Powerbomb, which I'm sure we'll do on this show at some point, because another amazing book.
Yeah, I've still not read that.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
So James, with this being your pick, I suppose your overview will be gushing.
Yeah, so I'm sort of on the flip side, where I'm not like we've all had to read Shakespeare under forcibly read it in school and all that, but I'm not. I can't say I'm a massive Shakespeare fan, and I don't. Some of the sort of adaptations that have been done and adaptations, should I say? Like obviously like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet and stuff is great, but it's not something I've ever really been interested in. But I am a big wrestling fan. I was growing up for many years, and then I sort of said, "Oh, wrestling's not for me anymore." But then the last maybe 5 years, I've actually started to get big into wrestling again. And this book came out. This is the right time for me to say, I'm going to pick this up. And I like the idea of them adapting Macbeth into this sort of 1980s wrestling world.
Yeah,
wrestling was a lot different then than it is now, because it was all back then. It's all sort of territory based before like Vince McMahon sort of took over the whole sort of wrestling empire, and then I had basically bought up all the territories and had it nationalized instead of different states and different areas having different shows and talent swapping between them. That sort of ended. So it was an interesting time period for wrestling if you know wrestling. But sort of mixing that with Macbeth, and it's not a straight out, as James said, it's not like straight out Macbeth.
No.
But the parts that they take off it from it and the things that they twist to suit the narrative is just it's a master writer at work, I think, and I just loved everything about it, and the art just complements the ideas behind it, and we touched on the colors. I think the colors in the book as well just work so well with the art, because obviously they're a good team anyway, so they complement each other, but the colors just work so well with the art, and I think Alex Cormack can draw a really good face. There's so much emotion in his character's faces,
definitely.
And that's just, if you're not a fan of Macbeth, I would still recommend this book. If you're not a fan of wrestling, I still recommend the book. It works. It just works.
Yeah, and absolutely with the artwork, with Alex's artwork, if you want a masterclass in modern day horror and comics, you look no further than Alex. Absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed this. I come at this with the wrestling side of things because I'm a wrestling fan. I just want to ask James and Pete, if he's not being fans, did you get all the terminology and everything?
So when I say I'm
right?
when I say I'm not a fan, I was when I was much younger, probably around the kind of the, and this will date as Ultimate Warrior and kind of the Undertaker. That was kind of my era of wrestling. So I recognize some of the terminology from that, but not all of it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with like a heel turn and things like that, you know. So there was nothing really struck me as like, oh, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
At any point.
The bit I wasn't familiar with, and I don't know what you were like, James, and I don't know if this is true to real life. So James Comic Deal can comment, I guess, is the bits where they were like having little razor blades to cut themselves and stuff, so they would get the. I didn't realize it was that kind of intense.
Yeah, that's called blading. That is the act of blading, the art of blading.
Jesus.
Or getting colour. I think Vince McMahon used to term it. Yeah.
But I usually hide little razor blades in their their wrists would be strapped up. They'd have razor blades strapped in there. So when they're in the corner, the hide, take it out, a wee cut in the forehead, it just gushes out.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all he does.
So they really just are not hitting each other at all. All right.
Yeah, I mean there is the odd incidental. Blood and you know, opening up of wounds and stuff, but
yeah, I'm gonna get into some of the mishaps, especially when you get near the end of this book that mirror real life. But yeah, a couple of the pages I did think felt a bit rushed. And I've just show you this. There's like missing sentences, I thought.
All right.
I had a bit of that as well. It felt
Did you think you missed the page, or you thought
maybe there was a panel missing or something like that, like it jumped forward? But I think that's just sort of, you know, like what's the main character's name again in this? I was just about to call him
Chuck Frenzy.
Yeah, Chuck. His kind of mental state is a bit erratic at points, so I think that's maybe on purpose to be a bit, you know, confusing, I guess.
There was a bit at the end, and I know we'll get to it, where he's what's his horrific wife called, who I hate?
Charlene.
I wasn't sure if she died or not, because she was talking at one point, and then
she's like, oh, blood or something, and then it cuts and it's like, oh, she's dead. Like he's like, are you sure you want to go out because she's dead? And it's like, oh, you didn't really hammer that home that she actually died. There should have been like a death gasp or something like that, you know.
I say there's some like end of page bits like this. This is I know I'm jumping ahead, but when he gets the championship and they're about to name him, and it just ends like, and new.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah. And like over the next couple of pages, I feel like that was a bit of a thing for me as well.
Yeah, it was just a bit weird.
Like, what's going on here?
Some places like that.
It's a stylistic decision, I think.
I think it's just to sort of symbolize like a jump in time or whatever. Like it's like okay, I knew, so we know what's going to happen anyway. We know what season, and then it goes on to what sort of the longer term consequence of that is in the next couple of panels. So.
See, I thought that I'm just looking at the page, because I never picked up on that time. I just kind of thought that was the voice playing in the background, and that panel you just showed, GP, the focus isn't on what's being said, the focus is on her face and the kind of the look in her eyes. So it didn't jar us, because I just thought that was the narrative going on behind, and it was the image I was focusing on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is kind of a story of the fall of a good man.
Oh yeah,
all intents and purposes, Chuck is like a good man. He wants to do things
by a bloody woman.
Yeah.
No, you know, it really does capture all of those kind of core themes of Macbeth. You know, it's guilt and it's regret, and the kind of the corrupting influence of power and all that.
That's right. Yeah. But absolutely brilliant book. Definitely recommend it to anybody. I do like the little promo bits that gives the beginning of each issue as well.
Yeah, me too.
Like an old style wrestling promo. I thought
and it's also sort of like the monologues and stuff that it would be. You would see in Shakespeare plays and stuff where it's just one person talking, and that's a good way to do it. I think where they're presenting it. Soliloquies. Sorry. It's my Shakespeare knowledge kicking in, but it's a good where they would frame that as it's they're talking to the reader, but it's framed as a promo in the wrestling world, which is smart, just very smart.
It was a very smart move. So we'll go straight into issue 1 with that said. And issue 1, there's a lot packed into issue 1. When I was writing things down, I was like, bloody hell, there was a lot. You get all the main characters set up in just this first issue. Obviously, we start with a wrestling match between Chuck, Frenzy, and the abominable Grud. And then we find out the backstage stuff where they're actually really good friends. And
yeah, I love that.
like
I just didn't see that coming. Like I thought it was a good twist, you know. And obviously he's kind of the banquo in this story, you know.
Yeah. And we find meet his wife Charlene, who's fed up living in Louisiana, wants bigger and better things, like all women. Then Chuck and his mate go out drinking, and on the walk home, as you do, go through the woods and the swamps, drunk shortcuts. They run into the Bayou sisters, I think they're called, or the witches. And they give the prophecy of Chuck will be the champion, but it won't last. And Grud is there to set up a wrestling dynasty. And then that goes on, and we get to meet the champion, who is Van Emerald. When you were reading this, did you ever have Ric Flair's voice in your head every time Van Emerald spoke?
Yeah.
That's who I
very
originally
Ric
thought of.
Flair-esque, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Pete took it,
Don't know who
I
he is.
didn't cop that.
No?
No, well, I don't know who he is. Yeah, GP.
You don't know who Ric Flair is?
I don't think so.
Can we just end this show now? The Nature Boy?
The Nature Boy.
I'm even further now from knowing who he is.
The
Nature Boy.
And we meet the rest of his.
Oh no, I do. Was he with Daddy Haystacks? Was he? No.
Giant haystacks.
Moving on. Move on.
Okay, we meet Van Emerald's stable. The stable is like a group in wrestling, guys. You know.
Yeah.
With the Diamond Brothers and Ruby Ruff, and they have the match, Frenzy and Van Emerald. But I think it was like a battle royal or something, was it? And it's
tag team.
It was a tag team, sorry.
Yeah.
And they have like the end promo of this. Van Emerald says, "Oh, you can meet me in the ring, and we'll have a match for the title." After that match, they go out drinking, and Van Emerald saying, "Look, I want to set it up so you can get the belt." And when they have the match, Van screws Chuck royally out of getting the belt. And then you have Charlene at the end of the book pushing Chuck to basically do a naughty thing to Van.
Well, I don't think he wasn't to win the belt in that match. He was to kick
Yeah,
out
but
of
it's
the
like
finishing
you're
move. So
you're gonna break out of my.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was to put him over and then build on it over the sort of next couple of matches and stuff with him. So yeah, it wasn't for him to be the champion at that stage, but it was to make him look good by kicking out of this finishing move that Van Emerald does that nobody ever kicks out of. So.
Yeah. That image on the front cover. Sorry, that image on the front cover, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my interview with John last week, but he's got that full outfit.
Yeah.
He's put.
Oh, yes, he does.
He did a pose in that exact image.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Superb. Absolutely superb. Yeah.
Had a cracking tush to go with it.
Yes, yeah.
James Pete, did you manage to follow through the wrestling matches easy enough?
Oh yeah, I think
no issues. I think it's pretty clearly shown to us. Like I didn't have any trouble seeing what was going on.
Yeah, same, absolutely the same. Yeah.
And you were saying, sorry, Pete.
It was just because I think they've done a really good job for non-wrestlers kind of spelling out the connection and the excitement of a wrestling match. It looks fun. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was great.
Yeah. James, you were saying about the backstage bit after the first match. Were you surprised by like them being friends after that match?
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it because again, I come into this, I didn't know really anything about it. I didn't even know it was going to be a wrestling thing actually. So yeah, I just took it at face value, and then they go back and they're friends, and it took me a second to even cop it was the same guy,
right?
And then just to see that they're best friends, I thought that was a really fun twist on that. I really loved that character. I thought he was great.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so we're going to issue 2 now. Yeah, that's a great image, by the way. Chuck, at the end of that, Charlene and Chuck are going to drive over to see Van. So Chuck can call him out. Van ultimately offers Chuck to go along with him to build up to getting the belt the proper way through hard work and everything. Charlene's got different ideas and pretty much pushes Chuck to kill Van. And then she sets it up on one of Van's friends, Ruby Ruff, because he's passed out drunk. And then the wrestling company gets involved, who owns a big part of the territories, and they hand Chuck the belt. And thus starts his reign. And
although they do fudge the death to make it look like they were already planning to give the belt to Chuck.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
was
we
a bit
have to
of
push this back a day
Yeah.
and disgrace him first. So
Yeah.
it's not our lead guy. Yeah.
Then we get introduced to Emmett Crow, who comes a bigger part in this. Any standout bits in this issue for any of you, apart from the death of Van?
The stabbing is horrific.
Brutal.
Really, like it's pretty hardcore.
There's one point in that stabbing, if you look in the bottom corner, where his eyeball pops out, and I just thought that's just tremendous.
Yeah, brilliant. I did love another kind of direct reference to Macbeth, but the I see a dagger before me. I thought that was I really enjoyed seeing that as well.
See, I'm glad you come along, James, because I don't know now about Macbeth.
Never thought I'd be a Shakespeare expert on a show, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. No, I really, it's a story I've always loved, and like I enjoy studying it in school, and on my own time I've even watched like various adaptations. So yeah, this is another one to add to the list.
I know, like the when they're going down the hallway and he sees the vision of the sisters again, the witches, and it's just just how mangled it all looks, and the coloring in that, where it's just totally different from the rest of the panels. It's just like a red and a purple, and it's just very, off-putting, uneasiness.
For the fight that he got kind of screwed over for, he would have been told before that he's not winning that, though, wouldn't he? Like that was never going to be an actual competition. Like it was these are dramatized.
Yeah, so that in that match he wasn't going to win. Like I think the plan was he wasn't going to win anyway. He was just going to be made to look good.
Yeah. Like, he's just going to put up a good fight to look good anyway. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. Man's screwed.
The other guy screwed him over, didn't he? By not giving him his moment.
By not letting him kick out of that move.
Yeah, I think when you go back to them panels about the hallway, James, I think it's Charlene who says, "Oh, look, they've cleared the way for us. There's nobody around." You get that sense she's just pushing them even more.
She's a bitch, isn't she? I mean, she
really is.
I mean, that is
that's Lady Macbeth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about her. Do you think as well? Actually, just going back to that match, I know it was in the first issue as well, but with that it sort of had shades of the. Pete will know this, the Montreal screw job, where one thing was promised and another thing happened.
That's
and
right.
Totally So I don't know if maybe I don't know if John was sort of alluding to that in there as a wee bit of a tick, but that was for James and Triple G there. That was an actual match. It was a SummerSlam, was it? Like a big pay-per-view event.
Yeah, it was 96, was it?
Yeah, Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels. And Bret Hart was meant to win, and he's told beforehand he was going to win, but they decided to change it, but didn't tell Bret Hart. So they had Shawn Michaels. What did they say? He submitted or something, didn't he? And he didn't. And
I think it was referee Hebner. I think he did the fast count, and then he just hopped out the ring and got out of there as fast as he could.
Yeah. So things like that do happen, or has happened. So it's for it to be included in the comic I got, it's based on actual. I think underhandedness that has happened.
I think when we go through this, you'll see a lot of similar situations that have actually happened in real life. So we'll pick them out as they come along. Going to issue 3. So we get to meet. There's a match at the beginning. I think it's a tag match. There's the Abominable Grud and the Masked Wrestler against Chuck and Grud's actual son. and so we get to meet him. And this big organisation now who Chuck's working for is taking a more interest in good son. I can't remember his name.
Brian was
Oh, Brian. So they're starting to take more interest in Brian, and Chuck's not liking that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, his friend gets killed, as you can see in that middle panel.
Yeah, but
he knows the
sets him up,
prophecy
that
your man's son.
And again, that's the jumping back to the Macbeth quote, the treachery line, isn't that when he's getting his head smashed in? And that's heartbreaking. I think his best mate, and he's
absolutely
pretty much sacrificed him, hasn't he, for fame and glory?
He knew what was coming as well, and that's why he told his son to run.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who were those guys that did that though?
They're called the Faceless Ones.
Yeah.
Don't know where they're coming from.
Elaborate, please. Yeah, because there's no establishment. He has this kind of crew working for him or something. So I thought it was to do with the
I think it's part of the witches. I think it's like the witches' henchmen. That's how I read it.
How did it work in Macbeth? Who killed the equivalent in Macbeth? Was it?
Oh, I can't remember.
Can't remember now. Yeah.
Or did he hire somebody to do it? Because I remember.
He hires
people to go, and then his kids escaped, don't they? Flee. So.
Yeah, it's his soldiers. So.
Yeah.
Then Chuck's starting to go a bit in the deep end, and he starts seeing his friend's ghost haunting him around the ring.
Yeah.
He's still starting to go off edge a little bit there.
Can we just also? I know. Sorry, you mentioned at the start of the match with the masked wrestler. Can we just appreciate the masked wrestler's name, the masked scumbag?
Yeah.
Because you don't get a much better name than that.
You don't.
So I'm not sure if he's a good guy or not, James. Is he a goodie, the Max Scumbag?
No, well, he would have been a heel, because he was with the crowd, wasn't he? So
yeah, have to have heel and heel together. There's a brilliant bit.
I did love because several things. If you flick back through this book, by the end of it, you'll notice things. He gave him a big hug before they left.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
like he knew he was sending them to die. I thought that was. I literally just noticed that now as I'm flicking through the pages. That's a really cool detail.
Yeah, there's a brilliant bit at the end of this where Chuck's talking to one of the Faceless Ones, and he shows him his friend's head, and he's like, "Well, show me Brian's head."
Yeah.
Because he's wanting that dynasty. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
What a bastard!
He's a bastard. Anybody else want to add any more to this issue?
Again, just stunning work, and the artwork is absolutely phenomenal. Again, the gore and and can we just appreciate these covers? All of the covers are absolutely amazing.
So striking, the crimson blood of it. Yeah, it's brilliant. But I love the Royal Rumble kind of panels. I thought they were really fun as well. And seeing the friend dead in the middle of it was really haunting.
No, I like the transition. That's where this is the first issue. Although obviously he's already murdered somebody, but this is where he's in the wrestling world. He's becoming the heel. He's becoming the bad guy in wrestling, and it's not that he is being bad. It's just he's starting to mentally slip a little bit. But it's Charlene. Is it Charlene? Yeah, she's
Charlene. Yeah,
she's pushing him, and she's the one who came up with the idea. Oh, he's he's being the bad guy now, and he's going off on one.
Ultimately, she's trying to build her career at the same time.
Yeah, simultaneously trying to be a wrestler as well. Yeah.
So she's almost protecting him, but driving him further at the same time by saying, "Oh, he's not being gone crazy. He's just being mad, a bad guy." So I like that his wrestling persona is now becoming bad as he's getting progressively worse in his real life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll go on to issue 4.
Best cover, I think. I love this cover.
Yeah. Well, when I did a short review for that's what I used for my thumbnail. I thought it was absolutely amazing.
I have all these covers signed by John and Alex, so they're
lucky bastards.
I was so long over trying to get them signed too. It was
and the next Geek Art Attack he's on, I'll just say, just do the cover of
Next time at their thought bubble, I'm going to send my copy along with one of yours to get signed.
Yeah. He's not doing it this year, unfortunately. He's not at thought bubble this year. John is, I think, but Alex isn't.
It's always my bloody luck. So issue 4, we find out a bit more about Emmett Crow. Get to meet his family. We find out that he just wants to be local. He doesn't really want the championship. Charlene's starting to make a name for herself now in women's wrestling. She has a brilliant match. The woman she's going up against bumps a move, and Charlene ends up getting bloody, and the fans like that. The company likes that. But Chuck has to have a meeting and with the organisation, and he's told he has to drop the title. As you can tell, Chuck and Charlene's not going to take this very good. Now, Chuck gets put into a car with somebody, and you never find out who this person is. Looks demonic, and he's smoking a cigar.
I assumed it was like the witch, like a demon of some kind.
Yeah,
like
the
the
witch
witches.
or something.
So,
yeah,
but
working
it's never meant. I think it might see him in another panel somewhere when he's narrating through the actual Crimson Cage
yeah,
match.
you're right. Yeah.
And I don't know as well how much of this is in his head now at this point. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
A very good point.
Because he's-
Absolutely, and that's an element of that's how some versions of Macbeth are interpreted as well. So like you can absolutely take it that way. That he just wanted to do this, you know, and that's his kind of internal justification for it.
Because ultimately he's told to beware Emmett Crow.
Yeah.
So good old Chuck goes to pay Emmett a visit. He's not there. He's with the masked scumbag. So he kills Emmett's wife and child.
And like Emma is portrayed so just like the nicest guy in the world. Like he's he's like this Native American guy who wears the cowboy hat. He's just like I just love life, and you do your thing. I'm happy to let you.
I'm happy with how my life's going.
As absolutely harmless as a person could possibly get for him, but still, like he has to go and do this.
Yeah,
but at least we know why the guy's called the masked scumbag.
Yeah.
We know now. Yeah,
at least that's explained now.
Yeah. Anybody's thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, it was great, but again, I think when we're saying about comparing things to what's actually happened, I think again the whole Charlene story here, where she gets smashed in the face, blood dripping down her, and becomes like the biggest thing in women's wrestling, is very shades of Becky Lynch when she became the man. If you remember that back in
that's right, yes,
back in the day, she I don't know, she came off a match, she got cut incidentally, got cut, and there was blood running down her face, and she cut this promo, and from that point on, she just rocketed to superstardom in the WWE. So
because that was pretty much a good turning point for WWE in women's wrestling.
Yeah, for women's wrestling as well. Yeah, so I think it's definitely shades of that. Again, I don't think it's coincidence. I think John is sort of dropping these wee things in there because he is such a big fan of wrestling.
He's a massive wrestling fan, isn't he?
Yeah. There's this issue where we get the heel turn as well. I think near the end of this issue, this is where Chuck does the heel turn.
Possibly, I don't know.
So stay patient, we're looking.
Yeah. I loved when I was very curious about. I was very curious about how they'd handle Charlene in this. Because like Lady Macbeth doesn't have much of an active role in the story, really, outside that initial push towards murder.
Yeah, but she really went mad though. She couldn't stop seeing blood on her hands.
Yeah, I love when she just slammed her face into the mirror.
Yeah,
that was really shocking. I thought maybe this is the suicide moment, but they kind of went a different route. The next comic.
Yeah, superb.
Yeah, that will go on to the last issue, issue 5. And this is where we actually find out about the Crimson Cage. I think it's mentioned once or twice before.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out this is going to be the match where Chuck has to lose the belt. And it's going to be in this Crimson Cage, which in real world would be Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
I like that. It's not just a metaphor. It is. There's like an actual.
It's literally a
red
cage. And Charlene's match is up first, and she tries to do a suplex off the top rope, and ultimately she snaps her neck and dies.
Yeah.
Which kind of mirrors what happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin when he fought Owen Hart. Owen Hart tried to pile drive him, and it went wrong, and ultimately he broke his neck. Obviously, he survived, and and unfortunately, Owen Hart would pass away. I think was it a year later or 2 years later?
Yeah, live on pay-per-view as well. Which
Yeah.
again, it's sort of shades of this. He fell. He was doing a stunt from the rafters, and he was in a harness, and the harness fell, and he fell down from the roof, and I think he hit his head on a turnbuckle on the way down, and it was on like a televised pay-per-view.
Yeah. So shades of real life yet again in this. But Chuck wants to carry on, even though his wife's dead. He said, no, we'll go on. And then you get Chuck's sentence, which I think is one of the best panels in this book. I really love when he comes out and he's got the crown on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's stunning.
If I find it here, I'll show everybody.
But on the topic of, I think, kind of real elements of wrestling, kind of slipping into this, you have the, it's a great shot, isn't it? You have at the beginning of this, I'm terrible with characters' names in this. The guy whose wife was just murdered by Chuck.
Yeah, Crow.
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 At the beginning, he's like, the company has told me that like this is good for my story that my wife and daughter murdered, and I think that's maybe a little bit of a dig at the kind of exploitation of some of the kind of wrestlers, maybe. So that kind of was really striking to me that they're like, oh, you just go out there and do your thing. This is going to be great for us. Like, I was like,
Jesus.
Yeah. I think there has been a few examples where wrestling has exploded. Things like that, hasn't there? Where like the whole thing, like I was thinking about Owen Hart when he died on pay-per-view, they continued to show that. A lot of people said they should have shut it down and stopped, but they continued with the show.
They continued,
these things like that. And real life affairs between wrestlers has been used as storylines as well. And they're very close to like the Hardy brothers and
Vince McMahon's racism and
just Vince McMahon in general.
Just Vince McMahon wanting to insert him into every possible storyline.
Having people kiss his ass and 90s wrestling was an interesting time as well.
Yeah. No era of wrestling is an interesting time. GP, don't.
I dropped out in about 2005.
Fighting talk.
As soon as kayfabe died, I was like, nah, it's not for me anymore. So Chuck wants to carry on and they make the entrance. But as they're going through the match, it just looks like Chuck's getting more insane.
Panel. Losing
he slashes his ear off with the razor blade and everything.
He just goes absolutely nuts. But after the match, after he loses the belt to Emmett, you have these panels where he's just sat and he's looking serene and calm, like the weight's being lifted off him. He's normal again. But as soon as he goes into the car park, he's ultimately confronted by Emmett, who's seen his wife's defensive marks on Chuck, so he knows Chuck killed her, and the Diamond Brothers, who've always had a suspicion that was Chuck who killed Van Emerald, and they basically butcher him.
It's horrific. That last panel as well. It's like, wow, this is how we end. But again, another thing where if you go back, you can spot the moment that he sees it's not obvious, but like, you spot the moment, his face just changes and it's changed for the rest of the thing when he realizes that it was Chuck that did it.
Yeah. And that's all the issues. Any thoughts
on that at the end there where he says, like, you can see the panel there where he says like he sees Brian standing above him. Do you think is that actually Brian, or do you think he's just seeing that? Because in any of the other panels, we don't see Brian there.
Oh, he's just the two brothers did it, and he's there.
And then he sees Brian there with a knife, and he says, "Brian, what does he say? Brian, that you kid? I've been looking for you."
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's really there, James. I think this is He's just seeing everything that he needs to see, isn't he? I suppose. And I agree with James earlier on. It's that kind of. I think it's the weight lifted off. I think this is all just kind of. It's almost like he was expecting this, and he doesn't really put up any fight, does he? He just lets it happen.
Yeah, he's like contempt at this point, Alex does a great job of doing these like crazy eyes. He does crazy faces so well. And he's lost it at this point. He just looks back to how he was at the beginning.
Anything else?
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
It is absolutely brutal. But that's why I like Alex Cormack's work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that last line just before obviously he gets accosted in the car park where he's sitting there and he seems to be calm and serene, and he just says, if you can convince him they're real, even for a minute. And it's like that, obviously what he was doing in that last match was him being real. He wasn't like, I wasn't wrestling anymore. It was him just being real. And then everyone's saying, oh, it's the greatest match ever. And he's like, well, all you have to do is convince him that they're real for a minute.
Yeah.
That was perfect. So I think that's, that was a good wee pot.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add about the book in total, or are we all in agreement that it's absolutely brilliant?
Yeah.
And everybody should go and buy it right now.
Yeah, no, I love it. As a Macbeth fan, I think this is a very good interpretation of that story, and adds all the new elements you kind of need to it as well. And just accompanied by like some of the best artwork in a comic I've seen in a while as well. So yeah, a really stunning book.
I think one thing we haven't touched on as well is the lettering. So during the matches when there's the crowd chanting and stuff, and then all the sort of the special effects they do for the different sound effects and all that, it really comes across very well as well in the book. It suits the tone of the book and the scenes that it's used in, and then it's adjusted, for depending on the mood and stuff. So I think it's just a whole package. There's nothing, it's it's just such a great book and such a great way to present the story of Macbeth, but with a twist in a way that I don't think we'll probably ever see again.
I think that's a great phrase James has just used there. For me, this book's the whole package. It's not often you get a perfect mix of lettering, artwork, writing, and story. Do you know what I mean? Everything works for me in this book. I love it. I think it's an amazing story. And again, I love a standalone story. Do you know what I mean? It's not a continuation. There's not something else to add on the end. It's just a nice, clean 5-issue book that's got start, middle, and an end. It's great.
Absolutely.
I did enjoy the fact as well that I think when I first read it, I read it was going to be 5 issues, and then obviously Macbeth's 5 acts. So it's like, it's like perfect. Such a nice way to do it.
It's just a bit of a shame that going back to your interview with John Lees, that he had planned for a sequel to this, that AWA shut him down.
Yeah, so it's a sequel in theory, but not a sequel to Macbeth.
No, I think they were doing Hamlet.
Hamlet. He was going to do Hamlet. Him and
that would have been. I would have loved to have seen that. Like, do different. Do Othello and everything. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
I did ask him last year. I thought, Bubble, is like, do you plan on doing anything else with the Crimson Cage sort of world? And at that point, you said, no, they're all dead.
He didn't say what he didn't mention what the setting or anything would have been, or any.
No, Japanese wrestling. He said it was. It was going to be called King's Road, and it was about
that's right,
Japanese wrestling, and
but apparently they were doing another version of the same story. So that's why they've shelved it. Unfortunately,
I would have just put it on Kickstarter and got it done.
Oh, it would sell. I'm sure it would sell.
Definitely. Yeah.
This book's got a great following. I think this is one of the bits of work that he's most well known for. It's a stunning story.
Yeah, I think this and Hotell are going to be like standout works. Yeah.
It's strange. Well, there's because at the minute there's like sort of like a small sort of microcosm of wrestling sort of books that have come out in the last lot of years. There was a one shot, like I can't remember what you call it now, Squared Circle or Squared Hell or whatever it's called. Chris Conlon was it who wrote it? Maybe I can't remember. And then so that one came out, and it's sort of a horror-ish. It's a story. And then there was Do a Powerbomb. It was weird these all came out within a couple of years of each other as well. But I think there should be a lot more. Because wrestling is it's short form storytelling in its own right, because it's two people in a ring trying to tell a story, and obviously they can build on that over various matches. Whereas comics are the same. It's you've got your 24-page book, which is a short form storytelling, but you can have an arc, so you can have multiple of them. They seem so perfect for each other that I don't understand why there isn't more.
Yeah, because there's not like a regular wrestling book, is there? There's not a regular comic, I don't think.
No, I mean I think WWE did put out a lot of books for a while. Yeah, I don't think they were ever.
Did some. I think the last one they did was like an Undertaker Kane one. Oh no, they did. It was
Chaos Comics used to do those ones. But...
Yeah, I think there was a couple of years back.
But I don't think they were doing anything.
I think it might have been Dynamite.
Different. They weren't doing anything that was new. That like Lee's books have been doing now recently. So, I think there should definitely be. They're probably doing God knows what's going to come out in the future, but I hope there is more because it's two of my favorite things: wrestling and comics. What can you be?
Exactly. So I know this is going to be hard, but has any of you got a standout favorite bit in this book?
The last page. Love that last page.
Yeah. Jimmy T.
Yeah, I think the stabbing in the hotel room was like a really I really enjoyed that moment. I thought I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, and I was like, wow, this really went for this,
James.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to pick something that sort of stands out as being so good because it is all so good. But I think I like the scene where he gets in into the limo and we don't know what's there talking to him, but it's also sort of merging different forms over every panel, and there's different sort of people looking back at him in that mess of stuff. So that's nice because it's sort of grotesque, but and then I like the cage scenes as well. And everything put something in a cage and makes it better. That's what I say.
Yeah,
it definitely does. Mine's going to be his entrance into the cage when he comes out. His wife's just died, but the show must go on. And
I think that's quite symbolic. That at that point, I think that's him just fully embracing. This is what I need to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and be damned with anything else.
Absolutely.
I kind of read it that at that point he's absolutely become the character of he's making, I suppose, and he's left behind Eddie Chuck Frenzy, the normal husband, as it were. He's now just the wrestling star.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I wonder what his real name is.
Bob
Frenzy.
Bob Frenzy.
Chuck has a better ring to it.
Yeah.
Definitely does.
Charles Frenzy.
Charles Frenzy. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. Charles Frenzino. There you go. That brings us around to the all-important scores. With being your pick, James, we'll let you go first.
Yeah, I can't fault it at all. We need to start reviewing bad books because
we did
I should say Simon's pick.
I missed that one. I think. No, it's got to be 10 out of 10. Even reading it a second time there for this show, it's just I loved it. I didn't want it to end, even though I knew it was going to end. I didn't want it to. I wanted to keep reading, and then miss the show. But I had to stop reading because it finished. But 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I give it 11 if I could.
Just 10. Pete.
I can't fault it, and I gave Philadelphia 10, I think, last week. So this is a 10 all day long for me.
Over 10. James.
A 9. I can't really fault it, but I don't. I think it's because I like the tone and style of I love the subject matter of Philadelphia, whereas I actively dislike wrestling. So maybe if it was another sport, but
actively dislike wrestling.
I hate it. I really do. Yeah,
you don't like football, so you couldn't have football.
That's true. Maybe if it was Twitch streamers or something, who knows? No, honestly, I had a great time reading this, and I really enjoyed it. Particularly, I think the artwork really stood out to me. It was really phenomenal. So a very strong 9.
To a 10.
No, because I like Philadelphia more.
9.5.
Just a little bit more, but more. Right.
So I was going to score this an 8.5.
Oh, GP.
No. Listen, just because the pages where I thought I missed a page or the sentence cut off, and that kind of threw me. And just because it took me absolutely ages to pick this book up because I thought it was going to be like Macbeth for the Old English. For new readers, if they hear it's going to be like Macbeth, it might throw them off a bit. But I am going to change it to a 9. Just because I absolutely love it. And with the little faults aside, you can't really fault this book.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a 9 from me.
Faults aside, you can't fault it.
If you don't count those faults, there's no faults, really, isn't there?
Yeah. Aside from the faults, it's faultless. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Beside the faults, it's faultless.
I'm gonna use that on the wife next time. Listen, I know I have my faults, but I'm faultless.
Yes.
Says GP's
Pete, was that your first time reading it for the show? You didn't read it before. Was this your first time reading it, or
it's my second time reading it?
Oh, you had read it before. Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I like most about this is it sort of came out of nowhere because I don't remember there being a big build up for it. So it was just good that it came out of nowhere.
I think I first heard about it on Killer Comics. I think Andy brought it up once on there, and then they were going on about it quite a bit.
Andy actively hates wrestling as well, so
yeah.
But they got us on to See His Sorrows as well, and I read that first.
Love to See His Sorrows.
And I fell in love with Alex's artwork in that. So
yeah, See His Sorrows is superb. Road of Bones is a very good read as well. That's quite creepy.
Yeah. Breath of Shadows isn't.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Just a big hello to
the artwork's good. Yeah.
Another Spindex. Yeah. So that gives us a score of 9.5, which puts it second on the list. Not going to punish you down one. So.
Oh, it scored higher than Philadelphia.
No, Philadelphia's top.
Oh, right. Sorry, got you.
Yeah,
Philadelphia got 9.7.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll need to read that one with the Philadelphia.
Hey, Connie.
Hi, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Yeah, so.
Hey, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
I'm going to get the wheel up now because we've got new picks. We've got new picks on the wheel. So I'll just go through these. You got Fathom. That's Simon's pick. Fathom.
God, that's the Michael Turner just
that's the Michael
moves
Turner.
in the water, isn't it? That's
water boobs, yeah. That's like
water moves, yeah. Like I said, wait till Simon's pick. You got Pete's pick, JLA versus Avengers.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Efren's pick, Avengers Defender War. So some old school stuff there.
Old school.
Jimmy T's pick, Vader Down.
Oh, not read it. Exciting.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
My pick, Crossover, Volume 1.
Big fan.
Mm-hmm. Not read.
And then James Comic Deal's pick, TMNT, Body Count.
Good.
Which I'm interested in read now.
That's exciting because I haven't read most of them. So, yeah. So anything but Simon's, please, would be cool.
The only thing I've read is Vader Down. So
I've read a couple of issues of Vader Down and a couple of issues of Crossover, and that's it.
I'm all up for some water boobs, so let's get some water boobs going on. The buoyancy.
You can read it free online as well, so you don't have to pay for it. So we
wouldn't advocate that at all.
No, definitely not.
No.
Oh God.
Oh, water boobs.
Hit it again. He's not watching, so you won't even.
Shall I hit it again?
Okay.
No, you can't hit it again. You're live. Okay, streaming to the nation.
We don't do things like that.
Yeah.
Pizza, I think I'm busy that week.
Yeah, I'm definitely busy now. I can't wait for
Don't leave me alone.
Tell Simon he's not allowed to read the kind of the blurb at the start. He's just got to kind of recant it because he'll not even know what the book is. Man. He'll not know what the book is.
Yeah, Connie doesn't think she's read any of these. I don't think any of us have. Water boobs. Hashtag it.
Hashtag water boobs.
Yeah. So that's what next time is. I don't think Efren will turn up for that one.
Well.
But Michael Turner, he died, didn't he?
Yeah.
On that note, that's
a great way to end the show.
Don't worry, I can edit this. So.
Just in that case, what a way to end the show. Yeah.
What a way to end the show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody being in the chat. Absolutely stunning. Thanks to all my panelists here tonight, the usual crowd. And with that said, we shall see you next time.
Bye, Connie. Bye, Connie.
Bye.
Bye, Connie. Bye, Connie.
Bye, Connie. Bye, Connie. Bye.